All right, and we're live. So welcome everybody to the first community interview on the Practical Personality channel. I am very happy to have this conversation today with Nora, because Nora got her, with my friend Nora, because Nora got her social type about a week ago, and you have been processing since then. And I've been getting the feeling you've been really burning to discuss it and reveal it, and that's why we're here today. And I specifically asked you not to tell me so I can like keep my own excitement about it, because I'm super curious and I want to talk to you about that. And yeah, what you've been, I guess, processing so far and what you figured out about yourself. And yeah, but we'll get to that a little bit later, maybe in 20 to 30 minutes, to keep some attention. Because first we want to talk about, I guess, your personal or transformational journey that you went through in the last year or so, which you talked about in previous interviews, which I found very inspiring. And it was like a huge, I guess, outer change, but accompanied or maybe even rooted in inner change that I found fascinating. And I'd love to unpack that a little bit more. But yeah, tell us maybe a little bit about who you are. What's your type for the people who don't know, and what have you been getting out of it so far?
Yeah, hi. Hello, friends. Hello, Felix, everyone. I'm really excited to be here, and it's been a long time since I've been typed. I think it's 5 years ago, so it's kind of just been a background thing in my life. I mean, when I tell strangers, new people about it, new friends, they're just like, "Oh, how has this affected your life, or how has it changed you?" And I guess I don't know about you, but after a while, you just kind of not forget about it, but you don't just like you see the world through the OP lens, but you understand that it's not everything. And I think with the weight loss journey and everything, like, yeah, OP was like one tool in the toolbox to help me get through the difficulties and kind of get unstuck, as like Dave and Shan talk about, like just use it to move through your difficulties. But obviously there are so many other things that I had to use to so I'm an ESTP. I forgot to say what's in my little name thing, and I'm a MOPI ESTP, consume sleep play blast, and double masculine. And yeah, like I started off the journey, not the weight loss journey, but the typing journey while I was doing teacher training. And I remember Dave saying like, "Oh, this is a very ambitious thing you're about to embark on." And I was like, "Whoa, what do you mean?" Like I was really kind of overwhelmed, like, "Oh no, I picked the wrong thing." But actually, it's been an amazing like challenge to be a teacher and to do the speaking thing every day for hours. It's so tough, but it's less tough now, and it's actually, I think, the best thing I could have done, because I like to be challenged, and I sort of learned that actually, if I'm not being challenged, I'm bored. And it's like I could have gone and done something that my saviors would kick ass at, but I like don't think that would have appealed to me. It's so much more appealing to be like, who am I looking up to, and who can I become? Like, who can I strive towards? And when I'm in a school full of teachers who are, some of them are IJ, a lot of them are blasters, it's like, oh, how are you doing it? Can I steal some things? Can I become that? Like a Frankenstein's monster version of that kind of thing. And that's what I am. I'm still me, but I sort of copy these TE tricks and stuff. I'm kind of going in all directions, but that's just a little bit about me. So teacher, ESTP, teaching was challenging, but I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, and yeah, more recently, you've went on this whole weight loss journey. So can you tell us a little bit about it? Like what happened, and maybe like what sparked the change?
Yeah, sure. So I kind of like for most of my 20s, I would consider myself even now maybe a food addict. Maybe not now, but I kind of went through a journey of like just layers and layers of not depression, but just, yeah, sadness, brokenness. I would say I reached rock bottom over the course of my 20s, got to like 28, 29, and I was like, I think I got to 20, yeah, just before I turned 29, I was like, I'm going to be 30 in a year. And that kind of like kicked some things into gear. And I was also like, is this me? Like, do I really want to give up? Do I want to? I remember this quote from this film. I'm going to quote films and stuff, by the way. Do I want to lay down and like die, basically? And I was like, no, I want to become. I remember I think I was going like crazy, like through this crazy time, and I just got a board pen and I wrote on the kitchen cupboards. I wasn't even writing on a whiteboard. I was like, this will come off, right? It took a while to come off. It was bad. But I was just, where do I want to, what is the end goal? What is the end vision for me? And it wasn't like, I want to lose weight. It was, I want to change the world through changing myself. So I worked backwards from that. I was like, wow, like, where did this come from? And I think it's always been in me to be like, the end goal is that to change the world and how we are addicted to food, the process, like lifestyle, it's all just consumerist and like fast food and blah, blah, blah. So from there, I was like, okay, that's where I want to be. This is where I am. Interestingly, it should be this way. But anyway, it was like that. And how do I work backwards? And I just mapped it out backwards. And I think that's how it got started, really. I was like, right, how far back am I going? Like, where am I actually at? And that took a lot of ego, like breaking. And I was like, right, I am an addict. I'm this. If I accept this, how would I treat an addict? Like, how do pharmacists treat addicts and stuff? Like, they give them a version of the thing. And I was like, right, what's my version of my thing? Like, my thing is pizza, or like, literally any fast food takeaway thing. And so then from there, I just worked on small steps. And I have to be honest, like this past week has made me reflect on there's something else. It's not just small changes. It's not just changing your gut microbiome and all these ST things that I did. That's like, this week it's reminded me of that whole whiteboarding thing that I did and the vision thing, because I think without that, I think it's really hard to get started. You have to reach that point of like, this isn't who I am, and lock onto an identity. And so that's made me realize I have to help people get that if they don't have that. Like, there are people out there who want to lose weight, but they're not going to get to that point of like, no, I'm going to save my life. I'm going to become the superhero of my life. I use those words all the time. Like, I'm going to save my life. I am a champion. I am this. I am that. And like, not everyone sees themselves that way or can just feel that way. Like, I don't know where it comes from. And so I want to be able to give people that. And I think that's why my weight loss like video, when I listened back to it, I was like, I'm not giving ST advice. What the hell? I was supposed to give them the breakdown, the plan. I don't have a plan. I just have a feeling that I want to give people. And that's something that I think is missing from the weight loss like community. It's like, here's the plan. Here, we all support you. Go on this forum and talk to us. Whereas I'm like, no. Let me give you the magic. That's me. I'm joking.
No, I think you're spot on, and I think you can really generalize that to a lot of change, or if you want to, I guess, improve something in a way or grow, that the ST advice, like what to actually do, might also be confusing, like especially in weight loss, like how do you eat? There's so much contradictory information, and it can be tough to make sense of that. But still, I think it's not the real challenge here, but rather the psychological challenge underneath, that you need to change what kind of person you are, and then the different doing follows from that.
Yes, exactly. And I also realized, like, throughout, there were moments where I could have stopped changing things in my diet and my routine and my lifestyle. I could have been like, wow, this is working. I'm losing weight. Cool. I'll just continue this. But I was never satisfied with being a weight loss thing. It was more like, but now this is easy. Why don't I actually keep improving inside? Like, I don't care that it's giving me the results. I want to be better. Like, I need to be the best version of me. And that would be someone. And what is that person? And I was like, wait, it's starting to look possible. Because before it was like, right, I just need to do the first 1%. I just need to lose a bit of weight. I just need to start improving my health. I was like I was morbidly obese. It was a case of like, I needed to do this to save my life. And then it became a case of, oh, I'm capable. I have potential to keep going, not keep going in the weight loss, but to actually become clean from the inside, like clean diet, whole foods, not just calories or just, controlling the intake and the energy and stuff. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, also would make sense that both of us would have a hard time talking about it and put it into words. And because we're D-man and F, but also because I think it's just in the nature of what it is that these psychological things are more difficult to put into words. But
Yeah.
this is what I was getting from the interviews you did previously and from your 2 videos, that this was really the core, that you had to change your identity and how you see yourself and what you believe about yourself and a story you tell yourself about yourself. And that was the underlying driver on the different doing, which is essentially surface level stuff in a way. But yeah, so what were a few kind of big, I guess, lessons or takeaways or changes that you implemented along the way?
Interestingly, I did not prepare for this bit, but it should be somewhere in here because I was just thinking about social time all week. I'm sorry. Okay, so lessons. Well, I mean, I actually am preparing for a few videos to release at the end of December. So 1, failure is your best friend. 2, patience is really important. 3, let me see if I can pull up some notes. No, I can do this.
Okay, but that's good. Like, I mean, let's maybe just talk about that at first. Like, why is failure your best friend? Sounds kind of weird, right?
Well, because you know how like in the gym your muscle has to like rip or like break and then rebuild. I feel like that's what failure does to you. It breaks you, and then you have to rebuild better. You have to figure out, right, what was the mistake I made? Why did I fall? Again, what tripped me up? How can I avoid this? It's like, or like when you fail in a game, and like if you have that game like growth mindset, you're not going to be like, oh, F this game, I'm going to stop. You don't. You go, right, try again. Right, this time I know what's coming up, and I can do it differently. I can also, even if you finish the game, you can go back and explore a new way to do it. Failure and like going through the process again and again is somewhat of an addiction itself, because I won't even lie, like there are some times when I have strategically failed, and I looked into that. I was like, is that a thing? Like, can you fail on purpose? Why would I do that? Is there something wrong with me? Do I just want to go through the superhero thing again? Yes, go ahead. What did you want to say?
No, just like I thought, like, have I heard about that? And I have actually heard about that. Maybe not in terms of weight loss, but in terms of learning sales. That one approach is that you try to get a no, actually. So you desensitize yourself against people telling you, no, I don't want to buy your stuff. And so you practice failing in a way to get used to it, get used to what you have to do, get used to hearing no, so you're not afraid of it anymore. That's what sparked what you said in my mind. But yeah, how did you fail on purpose? Like, what do you mean by that?
This is very new experience for me. Okay, so obviously failing before was different, like it would be an accident, but failing on purpose now is more like, right, I want to push my body to re-experience addiction 5%, because I want to see how I'm going to get out of it and what is actually working. So I can say, oh, the gut microbiome, oh, the science, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, is it true? I want to ST try it. And so I'll I might go, okay, I'm going to have these things. I'm going to maybe eat my food in a different way, or I'm going to start my day with like a sugary meal or high carb meal. And then, I don't know, it's just things like that. Or like, what if I'm put in a position in the future where I'm on like a 2-week holiday and like everything we have to eat is just not crap, but it's not my usual. I can't go to the gym. I can't do this. I don't want to be in a place where I'm going to freak out and like get like anxious and neurotic about it. I want to be like, no, I've tested this out in a safe environment at home. I know how to get out of this. And it's kind of like that. Like, it's almost like I want to put myself in a straitjacket and I want to get out. And I'm doing that at home first, because it's going to happen sometime in the future. What if I'm, with someone, I have a partner and they're super depressed, or like we are, broke or something. We can only eat fat. I can't go to the gym. I can no longer afford my amazing membership. It's kind of like, I want to prepare for that. And so I kind of put the straitjacket back on, and I get back into that feeling of where I was a little bit, not completely, because I'll never feel that depth of like just sadness again, I think, hopefully. But yeah, it's kind of like, let's do it again. Let's find another way to get out of this hole. And I want to prove to myself that it's not a fluke. It wasn't just until I can practice on other people, because I want to practice on other people. Like, I want to get those clients in and be like, hey, let's do this. I need to be sure that this works, and I know everything I need to do to make it work for anyone else. So yeah.
Yeah, I think what you mean, I would frame it as SF testing the NT, where the NT is just the theory. Oh, this is how it's supposed to work. These are the macros that you're supposed to eat, blah, blah, blah. But like, can you actually do it in real life? And can you go through the emotional pain of that? Right? Also, like, of failing, of having to maybe adapt the theory to your circumstances. Yeah. And I actually went through that, because I have my own story with health and with diet and figuring that stuff out for myself. And I thought I had figured it out. But then I moved from Germany to New Zealand. Like, I experienced all the things you just mentioned, right? Completely different environment. Had to figure out shopping at a new place. I moved in with Holly. So for the first time, I was living with a partner. So we had to figure out how to eat together. And these were just a lot of new sensory and emotional challenges. And I struggled with that. Like, in the first 6 months after I came to New Zealand, I actually gained 10 kilograms. Right. And only at that point, at some point, I kind of broke, and I got so frustrated with myself that I thought, okay, I thought I had figured this out. Let me get back to my known information and just adapt the old theory to the new circumstances. And then I lost everything. Like, it took me a couple of months. Like, it was still hard work. And I did this SF stress test that you described. But like, I'm glad that kind of my theory, my understanding did survive. But I'm glad that I made this experience, to be honest, right now, that I know I'm even more adaptable and more flexible. So yeah, like, I know from experience that what do you think? I think there's a lot of truth to it, and I love the approach.
Amazing. Yeah. And it's great to hear about the way you did it as well. And like, it's a relief for our NT. Like, okay, yes, it's real, because if it's personal and it's like, what is it? Introverted, you just think, I don't know, like, you just want to do something extroverted with that to like test it. And yeah, so awesome.
Yeah, like, I feel like it's like especially with anti-sleep, to me, it's only worth anything if it aligns with reality, and it's not just your imagination. Can you predict reality and kind of master it in a way, or like just always get unstuck with the theory you have in your mind and actually apply it?
And it's weird, because our SF and our NT, like, they're not blasts, so I feel like we have to put them together to make it sort of an ST, or I don't know, I just like that randomly came to my mind, like, oh, sometimes I wish I had ST or NF and an NT blast, because it's like, TE just feels so much more like practical for explaining things. But I don't know, all the different blasts are needed, so we make do. I mean, I feel like NF blast is something that's come up again and again in my teaching. It's like that's the thing that I sort of enjoy doing, is like selling a person on engaging in their education. Like, hey, not engaging in their education, but kind of engaging in the desire to be better. And through that, I engage them in the work. So it's not about like, hey, let me explain this topic, let's do the exam. It's about, well, who do you want to be? Like, don't you want to be better? Like it keeps coming back to that, and like the NF of like, let's make you the best version of you. So yeah, and let's feel good about it. Let's feel good together. Very FE.
Yeah, to me, the best teachers were those that made me interested in their topic. So I just wanted to learn about whatever they were teaching. So really connecting on this emotional level on the topic or whatever they were interested in.
Yeah, exactly. And like with English, that's pretty easy because really we're just talking about life, but through art, through like books and stuff. So there's always something to discuss. And yeah.
Yeah, and I also noticed like in previous interviews that I saw with you that I resonate like just with almost everything you say, maybe except with the observer decider thing. That's of course different, and feminine and masculine are switched with us, so that makes a big difference. But I really relate very much to the NF and to this approach to blasting, because this is how I see my channel and the videos that I make, that like I want to make stuff that is emotionally engaging and that makes people feel better and inspired. And I do really struggle with that. Like this feels like a huge challenge because this is not what I do on autopilot, but what I want to learn. And hearing that from you and that you're doing that feels, just very inspiring, and kind of makes me also glad that I'm not alone. And I love talking about stuff like that. But the other thing that you just mentioned is patience. So what have you learned about patience?
So a few things. So one of the things would be like the journey will take longer at times. Like you're going to feel lulls in the momentum, and at first that can freak you out, and you're like, oh, you know, what's the point? Like, let's just throw this away. And as you go through it, you realize it's so much like reality is so much better, even if things are slow, as long as they're moving. You're suddenly in a place that you've never been before, and you realize it's not the worst thing in the world to wait for what you want. Actually, it can be better because you realize that it's not just about the thing, getting the thing. It's about, you've proven to yourself that it's about the journey. Because if you know, sometimes I would have noticed like, oh, it's been a month and I've only lost this much weight, or I've, you know, only my muscles have only grown this much. And it's like, well, that means that I'm no longer focusing on the results. I'm focusing on how every day, like how I feel every day. And patience becomes this almost like constant like friend that you kind of like, you just kind of ignore them a little bit. I don't know. No, it doesn't make sense. No, like I don't think about it. I'm just like, oh, it's just happening. Like I just have patience within me, and I'm just like, yeah. And when you experience patience with like a body transformation, it kind of trickles into every part of your life because time kind of feels different. Like, you know, I don't look at my students and think, why is this student not changing? Oh, blah, blah. You know, it's kind of actually like, whoa, it took me a long time to change. You really start to see like the building blocks of change and how much time that takes and how many ups and downs they are, how it's not linear. And you suddenly just have all this patience for everyone. And you're just like, I get it. It's so tough just being here. Not defaulting to your saviors, like, oh my goodness, you just relate to people a lot more. And but on the flip side, there is part of me like I'm peacocking a little bit, guys. This past week has been out a lot. But on the flip side, I'm also very much like I have different standards for different people, and we'll talk about that later because I don't want to go into social time too soon. But patience is your friend. You realize that you're on a journey. You realize that you're not just trying to get somewhere. It's not about the destination. It's like you suddenly look around you like, oh wow, I'm in a train and it's going that way. Sometimes trains slow down, but if you're just chilling, you're on your phone, you're like doing stuff, you don't really notice. You're like tracking the speed of the train at all times with some sort of like phone app. You're like, no, I know I'm going that way. I don't have to actually think about it anymore. The train driver's got me. I'm safe in this train. I'm just going to have fun and enjoy the view. And that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and sometimes trains are late, but you usually get there eventually.
Yeah, you find a way. Don't be a single observer about it.
Yeah, and you can consume on the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then, but yeah, I know, like, I can feel your anticipation. I know you want to talk about it. So let's maybe change topics and talk about your social type. But before we do the reveal, what was your kind of stance on social types? What, like, were you interested? Do you think it was weird? And what did you want to get out of the typing process going in?
So I just ignored all the information about it for a very long time, because I thought it was a scam. I was like, oh, really? Another coin? Ha, I can see what you're doing there. don't, yeah. But it's eventually it was really funny. It was like, oh, people want to know what my type is. It was the community like pressuring me. I tried to get typed a couple times before. Not like I was like, oh, can you just ask for me, or I'll just send an email, and like nothing really happened. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be doing these interviews, and it would be nice to have some solid information. Like I want the ST on myself, essentially. I was like, whatever, but I didn't care because, like, how do I explain this? It wasn't like I want to know my social type. It was like the tribe wants to know my social type. It might be useful and for them, and like also I don't care what my social type is. I actually went in my typing video. I was like, yeah, I'm a 3. I think I'm a 3. Like, and because number one, it seemed like what people were seeing, I guess, with my teaching, like specialization, right? And I also felt like it was a basic sort of like, oh, if you're not a cool 1 and you're not a responsible 2 and you're not a friends 4, well, then you're 3. Like 3, I just feel like 3 doesn't really have like a vibe. It's just a
3 are the
you're
weirdos
left
in the corner
in
that
the
people don't fully
corner
understand yet.
making things or whatever. And I was like, right, I'll just be that one. And the reason I was like, whatever, is because since getting my 512 type, it doesn't matter that I'm blast last. It doesn't matter that I'm just another SE savior, because I know that that doesn't define me. Like I was like, well, actually, if I'm a 3, that's the best type because I did a thing and I'm doing things and I'm challenging myself and I am the best. But that was like an inner thing. And so like I'm gonna lose a lot of friends now and like people who were like, oh, she's a winner. But like I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. Like I was like, I don't care. Whatever type I am, that's the best type. Sorry. It's just that's what it is. So yeah, that's how I went about it. And that's what I think. But now obviously my thoughts on social type is a little bit different. Now I'm like, I'm still the same person, but now I'm like, oh, I got to see more demons now. Like, when you get your 512 and you know what your demons are, and like when you get your social type, you forget you also have demons for that, and it's like, oh no, but it's also like, oh, useful, cool, good to know. That's it. Yeah, we can talk about the emotional side as well because that comes into it. That's a little bit dark and like, oh,
Okay,
later.
yeah, like I know, like for me, and I already mentioned that when we were texting, that the emotional side was huge for me, and it kind of released like a wave of processing that I had to do, and it was almost like my life went by in front of my eyes, and was just kind of recontextualizing everything, and like, oh, like so now I know my savior social needs, so this is what I needed there, and this is why I didn't get it, and this made me so distraught, and like, oh my god. And now everything seemed much clearer suddenly, and but it released a lot of pain and sadness at first, and then relief came. But yeah, do you
that's what
want
it
to tell
felt
us like what's your social type?
Do you want to guess? Is there like a live chat? Is there anyone here? Is it just us? Oh, Holly's
so
here.
no. Currently there are 10 people here. I didn't
what
look
are you
into
doing
the.
up, people? How do
So I'm seeing Holly, of course. I'm seeing Uzair. Someone named
Nice.
Oscar, who recently. Natasha is here. Hi, Natasha. Hello, everybody. So Yeah, like, what do you guys
Cool.
think? Like, what's Nora's social type?
Yes, tell me.
Natasha saying, which is also the vibe I'm getting.
What did you
Are you
say?
seeing the chat, Nora?
I went on it and then like my internet went weird and I was like, no. Can you do the report for me?
So
Right.
Natasha's saying not 3. Oscar saying 1 or 3. Someone else saying 3. So I don't know. So Natasha's saying 4 or 2. So she's saying save a friends with you.
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad that I'm faking it very well. Should I reveal?
Yes, please.
I'm a 1.
You are. Aha, so you were actually implying that when we were chatting earlier.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what? No. Yes. Apparently very clearly a 1. So you guys who saw a 3, get better at typing. Come on. What are you doing? 3 and 1 have things in common though, right? Like Flex. So
the Flex, yeah, this was my initial impression, but like while I was just talking, like while you were giving your story and also in your recent videos, it's like, okay, you want to really, you just literally said you want to change the world, and this is the responsibility talk of the 1s and 2s.
Right. Yeah.
Typically, like this is your story is like used as a tool essentially to pull others up with you.
Yes, exactly. And I think that that's what Dave and Shan were seeing. Like they both saw 1, and it's. I think when I looked at my videos, especially the weight loss one and the one about like the pain of weight loss or something like that, I was like, oh wow, I'm NF blasting. And Dave said that. He was like, and I want to talk about something he said about the social ones and like what it does to your demons. And I'm not special. Like I thought, oh, maybe I'm specializing in weight loss, but actually I didn't go deep dive into like one thing and go, this is my thing. All I was doing was like, how do I get better? How do I get better? And how am I going to improve the world through me? And actually this process made me think, oh, I remember when I did that whiteboarding thing on my kitchen cupboards. And I was like, what is the end goal? And it was that thing that pulled me through. It wasn't, I want to fit into this size. I want to look good again. I blah, blah, blah. It was, what I need to use my pain to help the world. It can't just be a case of like, I just do this on my own and get really good at this thing. And even at the gym now, I'm not like specializing in like, figuring all these workouts out. Like I can't be bothered. It's just like automate the process, do the most simple thing, figure that out, and then keep working on the self and working on how do I impact others? I don't know. Like, and even at work, I was listening to my typing video and I was like, oh crap, like I'm taking a lot on at work. And even my boss was like, why are you keeping that role and taking on this role? Like I have 2 coordinator roles. And I was like, why not? Like I'm a teacher, coordinator for Key Stage 4, coordinator for this tuition program thing. And then she was like, oh, just leave that one. You're not gonna have time. And I was like, I can do it. Like I can do anything. And yeah, I can. I'm doing it. So I think that's what they're seeing, maybe. And he was saying about like there's something about the social ones that's different to the 2, 3, and 4. And I was like, okay, cool. What is that? And he was basically like, it doesn't care what your demon is. It doesn't care if your blast lasts, like you're producing. And I was like, okay, like that's so interesting. And he was like, what you're doing in your videos is like NF blast. And I was like, ah. And that does feel that way. Like throughout my teaching career, I haven't been like, oh, I don't know. It's just been, it hasn't been hard to transform like year on year. It's been like it's almost like that's if I like look at it that way, like that's been the addiction, is like the people around me, the people I keep close to me have to be useful. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a weird demon friends thing, right? And how I look to them and what I want from them is to be a better version of me and steal traits from them. Like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. Yeah, I'm not TE, but I can do this. So yeah, there's like, and when I was watching my typing video, there was this bit about, in the questions, it's like, tell us about the 3 closest people to you. And I if anyone watches my type, like, I don't think I want to share it, but like, I have such weird vibes. It's just weird. I just go, oh yeah, no, my mom. I mean, actually, I don't. And then I struggle to answer that question. I just like, what's the point of this question? Why do you have to have three closest people? Like, why does it have to be consistent? Or like, who cares? Like, can I just talk about my journey and like me and blah, blah, blah? Like, oh. And that was when, before I got my type back, I was like, my demon friends? Do I have friends? What are friends? I'm like, oh no. I really freaked out. When I got my result, I was like, oh, damn, it's real. But also, what's fantastic is I felt seen. And that's what I felt when I got my 512. So when I got my 512, I was like, oh, this is like the cool chick. This is like who I think I am, like who I'm gonna be. And I was like, I'm already an ESTP. That's awesome. And obviously all the trauma and stuff comes in, and like, oh, you're blah blah blah. And it happens with the social one thing. I'm like, how did he see that? That's a secret. That's mine. Like, what? Like, am I actually flexing on the outside? Like, do people see that? I thought it was like an inner hero journey. Like, I'm this, like all my favorite, like one of my favorite songs is like, I did it my way, or like, look at what I did, or like, there's this other lyric, like, oh my God, it's so bad. It's something like, I'm the best, something, the best mother you'll ever meet, from the top of my head to the tips of my feet. And I'm just like, oh, my favorite songs are so one.
They're all flex songs.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. It was, I was like, oh, and I crashed. And I was like, ooh, this is so bad. And then the relief came, and then it was like, okay, like, you know, I did some processing with Dave, and it's like, just, it's a deck of cards, but you are not your deck of cards. Like, you're not enslaved to that. You can be the good guy. You don't have to be the bad guy. You don't have to be the taker. There is a role for everyone to play, but yeah.
Yeah, I rather see it as, I mean, yeah, you're not enslaved by your type. It's rather like, what version of your type do you decide you'll be? And
Yeah.
I see like the higher you are on the social hierarchy in the sense of social types, kind of the bigger servant you are. Kind of like the king is actually the biggest servant, or should see himself as the main servant of the people. And so this is maybe even the burden that the higher social types carry, that I think they're only really comfortable in life when they have more impact through serving other people.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so like humbling. It's like, okay, I'm Demon Effie and Demon Friends. Good luck. You know, good luck having any friends in 5 years, or like whatever. And I see myself going down that journey. I'm glad I got my social type now, because actually I was starting to become really intolerant. And Dave was saying with demon, like masculine Fe, I'm almost decider-like, because with forgiveness, with grudges, I was like, oh, I really do try my best to be like, I'm a double decider. But sometimes I'm like, leave, like, get off my freaking, like, get out my side. Like, just like, it's kind of like, especially internally, like I might not blast it out, but I'm just so like, you have ruined your image to me. Try and fix it. But I won't tell someone that they have to fix it. And I'm like, ooh, that's such an off with their heads mentality. It's almost decider-like. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I have to be like, I'm so glad he told me that. And I was like, right. Tolerance is key, you know, like see where you went wrong. Like, I do the double decider thing, but I do think that I have these standards for people, and especially when it comes to like changing, which we talked about earlier, and I was talking about patience and stuff. But if I don't see someone changing and they're close to me, I start thinking about, what's the use of you then? This is why I'm saying this video is going to make me lose friends, because I just want to be honest about how horrible it is to be a 1 and ESTP. DI on DI on DI. I'm like triple DI now. Not now, but okay, once.
Yeah, but okay, then if you want to lose friends, then maybe let's just lose friends together. because I have like my own struggles with that, right? Because I am
Yeah.
savior friends, and like this is one thing that they saw quickly in my typing video, that I genuinely have this desire for friends, the need for friends, but then at the same time I'm an IP with like masculine TI at the top, so
Yeah.
I put a lot of pressure on myself, a lot of pressure to be better, which is kind of like my delusion that I have to be better in order to be accepted by others. But it's the pressure that I put on myself, but then I project it also on others. So I do want friends that have the same drive as I am, that naturally align with me and with my mission and where I see myself. And if you don't, I don't care. Like I have a really hard time, and this creates just a lot of tension in my mind, like that I really want friends, but not you, and not you, and not you, and not you. You maybe, okay. And
Me,
this
right?
created
Me.
so much pain. You, yes, exactly. Because you're saying all the right things. You have the right attitude. I love it.
Yeah, I feel
Right,
the
like
same way.
this is why I
Yeah.
flew like around the world to be with Holly, because like I
Yeah.
saw that in her. Like I want to
Yeah.
be with you. You have an amazing attitude. You have the growth mindset that I'm looking for
Yeah.
in a partner, and I'm doing whatever it takes to be with you. And like that shit is hard, like to
Yeah.
just leave your life behind, like everything you know, and start a new life in a new country. But I'm also thinking, but if someone else isn't willing or able to do these things, I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's like I've just grown. So what have you done?
Exactly. It's like, what have you done? And like what are we doing in this like like why are we vibing? What's the point? Like where are we going together? And are you listening to me? If you don't listen to me, you don't respect me. And what's the point? Like if you're my friend, like actually take it on board. If you're not taking it on board, either you don't respect me or you are so stubborn and it's gonna piss me off long term. So I need to figure out like which one it is and how we're gonna fix it, because it's not staying the same. Stagnancy is just a nightmare. I've lived that nightmare. And even Dave said, hey, you can try and delay like your success or like your like one identity. You can't. It's your reality. And he said you can kick it down like the path of life, like kick the bucket down. Like I'm gonna ignore it. I'm gonna get. And that's what I did throughout my 20s. I was like, nah, I can fit into some sort of curvy girl community and whatever. But actually, in the end, it's like. I had to get back to myself. There was this feeling of not like, oh, I just want to. I think that's why all the like quick fad diets didn't work for me as well, because they were not me being my best version. It was me copying some sort of someone else's plan. So I think he's right in saying you can't really go away from your social type. He was saying, okay, modalities, your sexuals and your socials are immovable. Functions, animals, the more movable things. And he was like, good luck trying to quit, because you can't. You're going to get back in the game. And that's what he was saying about me. And I was like, that's actually what it felt like throughout my 20s. I was like, I'm not partaking in this thing called life until I am my best self. There are people who are like, yeah, I'm just going to hang out with people and be around friends because they're going to get me through this. And I'm like, no. I describe my journey as going into the Batcave, like not the Batcave, like that film Dark Knight Rises, whatever. And he's in this like hole and he has to get out and he has to go through what Bane went through and he kind of understands what he went through. I don't know if you remember, but I was like, that's what it felt like. I had to do it on my own. I couldn't partake in life until I was myself. And yeah, the self that I had to get back to was like the best self. I don't know how to say it. Like, yeah. But anyway, I have some notes that other things. Oh, I have an anecdote. Let's like interrupt this whole serious stuff. My anecdote. My birthday was like a few weeks ago, whatever. And I had these birthday cards. I was so demon friends about it. I couldn't open those cards for days. Right? Weird. Right? I put them in my bag. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll open them when I have a coffee. I'll open them when I'm at work. And they were with me wherever I went. I was like, I'll just. And then I was moving them around. I was like, I'll just put them there. I'll just put them there. And then I was checking for where they were and they were gone. I looked everywhere. They were gone. I was like, did I accidentally throw them away? So I went down to my building community bins thing and I looked in the bins. I was like, you know why? Because I felt like if my friends find out that I lost their cards, that's it. They would figure me out. They would be like, oh yeah, you don't actually care. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's what, like it was like, whoa, they can't know. They can't know that, like, not that I don't care, but also like, oh my God, they can't know that I don't know what it was. It was so weird. It's so weird to talk about as well. It's like, why did I freak out? And like, is that the demon friends thing of like, oh my God, they're gonna know that I'm not as like, I don't know, like over the last year and a bit, I feel like I've become even more self-oriented and more like, I don't care, like, you know, messages, whatever, connecting. It's like like zoomed in on this on like the growth and like what I'm gonna do with it. That I felt like I have to find these cards, and that's why I went to the bins. I was like, oh my God, at least I just have to get them back. It turned out they were under a flap in a pocket, like under a pocket in my bag. It was so embarrassing. And I actually had to go through the process of telling my friends, like, oh, I think I've lost them. I'm so sorry. Like, But then I said, oh, I found them. And then they were like, okay. And I was like, oh God, shit, I shouldn't have said anything. But yeah, it's, yeah. And it feels so weird to like message people and be like, thank you for writing this in the card and like this thing. And I'm always like, I always put that down to Demon FE. But recently, like before getting my social type, I thought I was play last. I thought I was like more like Michaela Peterson. Because there's something, I was like, maybe I'm an IP because there's something so deeply Demon FE about me that I'm just like, it's so weird. Like every time I do an FE thing, I'm just like, they can hear that this is bad because I can hear that this is bad. I can hear that this is scripted. It's fake. It's not how I feel. I'd rather just not talk to anyone and just be like, not anyone, but I'd rather just be like, hey, are we talking about something productive right now? Like, no? Okay. Can we stop? Can I go back to my thing now? Like, it feels like I'm putting in, like, you know, when you have to like put a time in, time out card, like for certain jobs, you have to like punch in. Every time I engage in like, well, not every time, but sometimes when I engage in FE conversation, like punching in, punching out, I can leave. Do you feel the same?
That's what we do. I think that's how our demons work, that we count the time. Right.
Yeah.
It's like let's say like me with double observing, that like I have the same problems with computers and whatever that everybody has, but like the time that I put into it and dealing with the observations, I just don't count. I just keep going and going and going until the stuff works and I don't overreact to it. But whenever I have to do FE, whenever I have to deal with people, it's like, oh my God. And then when I do something and I don't get good feedback, then it's just the worst thing ever. And like what you said, you were wondering if you were an IP. This is what the vibe I've been getting from the number ones, that like on the surface, I resonate with so much that they're saying. And I think there is a subtle difference that it's not exactly the same thing, because it seems to be with the number ones, it's more this hierarchy thing. And with the IPs, it's more the perspective thing, like being independent of where you are on the social hierarchy, you just don't see the tribe's perspective, so you're scared and you don't know how to deal with them, and you count the doing of the FE. This is this scary thing that you just struggle with a lot. What the fuck was that? Never mind. Missing. See, like weird observations. I don't know what's going on. But yeah,
I'm
no,
one of some. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good.
So I really know this the struggle, which isn't, as I said, like exactly the same, but I think very similar in nature, that it's just so hard to deal with the tribe and have connections.
Yeah. I really want to like talk. I really want to investigate a bit more about the difference between being a one and being like an IP, because I understand what you've just said, but I feel like there's so much more that we can like unpack. But I'm just gonna quickly just take a look at the notes. So bad guy. Okay, let's talk about Is that okay? Can we talk about it?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Number one, taking all the conversation.
Sorry. Okay. What has been your experience of like being around people? Because there's something about the number ones that they were saying, and like Shan, and how people are like coming to them. What about your experience as a two? Like growing up, how did you make friends, or did they come to you, or was it a case of you wanted to help them out? Was it the responsibility thing? Maybe we could talk a little bit about, because okay, the reason I want to talk about this, let me give the an NI, like, okay, social types, social hierarchy, and does that play out in real life? Like, are we seeing people being drawn to number ones? Are we seeing, fours going to the tribe? What are the twos and threes doing with people? Like, they're not just, they have more observery things, but like as well, yeah. Because friends for you second?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Now, in terms of the pecking order, like, how does that play out in life for you?
Wow, that's a good question. Because one big struggle for me was that for most of my life so far, I haven't really played the number two role. Like, I was very much the specialist, right? Going to uni, studying mathematics, being a scientist, and then noticing, oh, I don't really like this job, and I it just felt meaningless. I was completely unmotivated. And but I didn't understand it at the time. Like, I didn't know why I was so unmotivated, why I was deeply unsatisfied, although it was the job that I wanted since I was like 11 or 12 years old. Right? At some point, it just became my dream to be a scientist. But at the time, like, even like when I was like 26, 27 and doing it, I didn't understand my underlying motivation, which was like very similar to yours, that I wanted to kind of improve the world in some way. And like, I just was always interested in science, and I thought that like figuring new stuff out and kind of bringing the world into a better future with whatever I might do research on, this is what I wanted to do. And then I had this work, and I wasn't really doing that, and kind of this motivation got lost. And where I actually found motivation was very much in teaching. So actually, like, I never taught as much as you do. Like, I never did it for hours on end, but it was like one of the important parts of my job that I had at university. And it was the one thing that gave me meaning, that I really looked forward to, where I thought, okay, I'm making a difference here because I'm teaching younger people math. And like, well, most people don't care about that. It is very important that we have like engineers, computer scientists that know their math. So like, all the shit we're using actually works. So I guess this was like one of the first hints in my social type that I really liked. And then that I got good feedback from people, and that they liked coming to me and asking me for help and wanted me to teach them, right? While I didn't know I was ++, which was kind of a blessing. And I had also this environment that pushed me into this role, right? Where as a math student at a technical university, we were expected to become part of the kind of the machinery in teaching other students about mathematics, because everyone there at a technical university needs it in some form. And so they needed all these math students to help out with exercise classes, etc. And I really like that role that kind of found me, rather. And in terms of making friends, I always had friends, but kind of I guess the alignment came first. And the older I got, the more I found friends that I naturally aligned with. And especially at university, I felt like I was on a mission. I wanted to make myself better. I wanted to learn something. I wanted to do something really, really hard that almost no one is able to do. And I wanted to make the world better in some way. And then I found people who had similar goals, who were working just as hard as I was. And I guess I met people that met my standards, and to those I wanted to connect. But then it was really the mix of, I like to work with you, like we're on the same mission here, but then we're also friends. So we work 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, and learn our stuff and make sure that we get the best grades possible. And then we hang out. Then we have a nice time. Then we cook dinner. And that time was also important to me. Like the hangout with no purpose, but with very specific people, I think, that just were on the same mission and that understood me. So this is kind of the way of like responsibility first. Like, do we align on that? Do you also push yourself? Do you want to get better? Do you have similar goals, more or less? And then yes, let's be friends and connect and share good times together. And see that as a really important thing that I kind of want. I want kind of companions in a way that I like as a person, that I want it to be more than a business relationship where it's just functional. Like, I don't want that. Like, I'm fine with doing that, but it's definitely not my preference. And yeah, now at work, like I just starting a new life here, kind of in New Zealand, working as essentially a software developer for the government. And kind of one role that I found myself in, like me as the newbie, we had to organize the Christmas party. Like we were put together like all the newbies, and it just ended up me essentially doing all the work and taking it over. Like taking responsibility for actually for our like for a couple of teams organizing everything. So this, I don't know if that fully answered.
No, it does.
Question.
Yeah, it does, because you were sort of talking about like you align, and then the friends, you can kind of do the thing of like just hanging out. It doesn't have to be an objective. It's about the few specific people. There's an element of the IP, the responsibility set first, and then the friend second. I find that like I don't really relate to that, because even if I have a few specific people that I'm like, yeah, I approve, it's still kind of hard to just hang out. It's like in the background, like we might be catching up and I'm like, oh yeah, tell me about your life. Like, yeah, how's it going? And then it's like I don't know. I just start thinking, this is so weird to talk about. It's like inner thoughts. Feminine inner world is still a thing, by the way. It's still like, oh, but it's kind of like, right. Sometimes I actually leave thinking, not that that was a waste of time, but like maybe we could have done something different together. Maybe we could have literally worked on our goals together. Or it just, I don't know. It just feels really weird. And yeah, I really want to learn how to just connect and just vibe without like there being an objective, and without me constantly thinking about my objectives, because I'm constantly thinking, I thought this was NT sleep. Like, how am I making my life more efficient? How am I doing today? Is it better than yesterday? Like constantly checklist. Am I doing this? What's the next step? But then I'm like, oh, maybe that's also part of being one. Like, you're always thinking about that. But to talk about the friends thing further, like throughout life, I don't know when this happened. I think it was a certain age, but people would sort of come to me, because I remember for a little bit in my life, I was like, oh, you know, I just wanted a few select friends. And I was just like, I feel like when you're a kid, you're not a person yet. Anyway, get to that point where I felt more like I knew who I was and whatever. And I was like, I have limited resources, guys. Like, I need to work on me. Like, hello, like time is important. And people would not bug me, but like come to me. I don't know why I refer to it as bugs, sorry. They would come to me and be like,
demon play. I know the feeling.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, can we, you know, you seem mysterious and like blah blah blah. Like, can we hang out with you? And I'm just like, I don't know you. And I feel like that's kind of what would happen. And it's kind of just been the way of like play saviors would adopt me or whatever. And I guess that's a thing that a lot of demon players are used to. But I think that's just it. Dave was talking about how Shan would get followed in the grocery store sometimes. Like, as a number one, she's used to just attracting people coming to her. And I was like, oh crap, I like relate to that, because I can't go to a grocery store sometimes without someone being like, so can we? And I'm like, no, I'm trying to get my peanut butter. Like, what? It's just it's just a case of like, if you're demon friends, why are we drawing people to us? What does that mean? You know? And I think Dave was kind of referring to it as like, it's the pecking order. So that's why I wanted to talk about like, what's your experience with it? And it's maybe the case of like, they can sense that you're a leader and they're coming to you for that kind of thing. And one of the descriptions of the one that I saw somewhere in the community, wherever, it was like a one like kind of announces that they're here. Like, I'm here now, without having to say anything. It's like when you go into a room and you can feel you can sense who the double feminines are, who the double, like, you know. And he was like, that's what you do with the social order. Like, animals do it and we humans do it. We can sense who is like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But it's also kind of ironic because the number ones don't want to be around. Like, they don't want people to be drawn to them. Or but maybe we do, because ultimately we're taking it for granted. And that's something that kind of hit me hard this week. And I was like, I really want to come out with my worst self here today, because actually from this day on, from Monday, I'm going to change and I'm going to, no, maybe. But so I wanted to kind of say this because I'm like, oh, you shouldn't take it for granted. If that's what the tribe is giving you, this sign that, hey, you know, we want more, you know, more you. And it's just like, the tribe will be there when I'm done on my mission. But that's not what you should do, because I won't wake up at like 50 and have no one. Have all this like maybe success, and he was like, oh, you could give money to charity, but have no one. And I was like, oof, yeah. But on the flip side, Dave also gave some contradictory information. Hello, Dave, if you're listening, which was the social order kind of has to be like, the social type is so immovable that you kind of have to do your thing, let the bucket of number one fill, then you can do your next thing, and reach your demon thing. So he was talking about like someone he knows who is Savior 4, who has to do all the playing of the games and like with the fun and the friends, and then they can go on to do their specialized, and then they can do the response, and then they can flex. So it's kind of like fill your buckets and then go through that. He also said, hey, most people don't know about this stuff, and they're just going to go on autopilot, do their saviors, and if you can get away with doing your saviors, do it. He was kind of like, you're not cheating, you're not winning, kind of thing. I'm like, well, okay. He's like, all you need to do is use your demons to then, if the tribe smack you down, be like, hey, yo, dude, you're doing too much. Listen to them. Don't just, you know, stick your heels in the ground and go, no, saviors only. Like, at that point, switch gears. So I was like, that's interesting. So he's not saying, hey, Nora, you've got to do all the friend stuff now. Jump on all the Discord servers and go to all the meetups. It's like, you know. But he is kind of saying, you know, use it to get unstuck. There isn't one way to succeed in life. And it's kind of, I kind of agree. Like, I'm just like, okay, yeah, I do have these missions I want to go on. I'm not going to just, you know, on Monday join all these like Discords and like go on, say yes to every social opportunity, because I think that would be like doing a diet on Monday, you know, like you're going to fail. Do the 1%. If you're facing yourself, like if I face another Nora, number one type, and she's doing the friends thing, she's obviously going to be more successful than me probably, but like, you can't wait to get started. Like, you can't be like, well, I've got to perfect my demons, get my saviors balanced, and then I can move. You're going to be stuck. Yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, how are you supposed to get better at your demons if you don't get started, if you don't move, if you don't practice?
Yeah.
And I've heard Dave gave this advice to multiple people. And I think it's very solid that you really have this flow of your social needs, right? That you start with your first one and then go down. And I think for you, it means that you start with the flex. So you need to have your mission. You need to know what you want to sign your name on. Like, also, like, I see it as like, how do you want to serve the tribe? Like, how do you want to be a good number one, right? You don't want to be an empty attention whore who kind of gets praised for nothing, right? For being a narcissist. You don't want to be Donald Trump or whomever, right? And then like be responsible, like do specialize in whatever you need to fulfill your mission. And then if someone is on board with all of that, then you can be friends. Right? And I have my version of that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one other thing that you said is like that reminds me of your type twin Shaq, like, but number 2 type twin, that he at some point started to make a lot of money as a basketball player, and just spent the money like in the beginning very quickly. But then someone told him, hey, maybe don't do that. Kind of the universe came and, hey, maybe don't go all in on the SE. And I think if you, like, for whatever demons, like your human needs demons, your social demons, if you just listen to the universe, if it lands to your hand and you grab it, then I think this is such a huge sign of growth. So like if someone like helps you, like a number 4, helps you with the friends or whomever, or a number 2, and you actually accept that help, great. Like someone like, and Chan told me, just make sure that you can sleep at night. That's your job. Like, are you resolved? Are you at peace?
Yes, exactly. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a weird like week, because it kind of goes between like, I mean, as soon as Dave gave me the just use it to get unstuck thing, I was like, I just need to stop being a little like bitch and sad about this. Like, I'm the same person that I am now, but yeah, it's part of it is tough to accept. It's like, come on, are you serious? I have another thing. Like another bit of proof that I'm an asshole. Nice. I'll just be the asshole then. Like, I don't know. It's almost like, just like, someone's coming up to you and going, you're the bad guy. And it's like, okay. But then again, he also said that it's not, bad guy processing. That was the audio. He was like, look, you get a stack of cards. You get like, maybe you're one of the people who has attack, you're quite this, you're that, you've got the aggressive like side. And then if you've had like a rough childhood, or like, for example, something happened where you had to defend yourself, you go into that role. But it doesn't mean you have to sort of stay into that role. And he was talking about like birth order and like the way, you respond to parenting. And I think they've recently come out with some stuff on that. I have to like join the class and everything, but even on the YouTube, like birth order, I think that was one of the recent videos. I think it's really important to like acknowledge, like, I am a result of these genetic cards maybe, but also life. Like, you kind of have to forgive yourself and just don't stay that person, kind of thing. Like you were saying at the beginning, choose to be the good guy, choose to use your power for good, kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's like random other Dave quotes. He was saying about how young they're encountering a lot of young professional, like ones in professional jobs. So you would think, these people are 3s, but actually they want to make an impact within their job. They're not looking for world domination. They are looking to impact the world through themselves as well. And I was like, that's interesting. So I thought, just because I have a job and I'm like, I'm a workplace professional, blah, 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 I'm a 3. And it's nice to hear that sort of, that's not what's going on. Like, you've got people in their 20s and 30s who are ones, who are workplace professionals, who are making an impact in their job, and they're just, that's that thing. But he's like, you can't really hide that like one stuff, because in the end, like, you are still trying to impact the world through yourself. And and like with the savior responsibility, it makes sense. And I think I've talked about all the things he's talked about. So like forgiveness, stack of cards, that kind of thing. I think that's it for my long-term vision. Oh, also, I think something you said in your video with Shan is that social type sometimes isn't obvious because it's a long-term path. Can you tell me a little bit about, like, what do you understand about that sort of thing, if you remember talking about that?
Yeah, it's something that I've been processing a lot, and like just in like for my own self. Like another example would be Tom Bilyeu, right? Who started out as a filmmaker, like very much the specialist, and now it seems very clear that he's a number 2, like being this entrepreneur who wants to change the world, who talks to everybody all the time. But when you met him in like maybe his early 20s or whatever, mid 20s, it wouldn't have been obvious at all. And that was the same with me, that they at first thought I was a number 4 because they could see like I have the genuine need for friends, as weird as it is with Effie last. Oh well. And I was wearing the hat of the scientist for most of my professional life. So I'm 35 now, but I have had this 10-year span where I focused on one career. But and like from the outside, it would look like the typical number 4 role, right? Because that was the role I was playing. And it feels like, to me, with your social type, but also with your ops type, that you want to overall lead with your saviors. Kind of like if you're right-handed, you want to mainly use that, like build your life around that, because this is just what you can do more of, what you don't count. But then support it well with your other hand and make sure that both hands work well together. And it feels like with your ops type that you can't not use your dominant hand. So because you use it on a kind of minute by minute basis, and you have often maybe just the crippled supporting hand that is really not well developed, and you really need to use your demons more. But it can actually be the other way around, like a child who is left-handed but was forced to write with the right hand, and so they're kind of not fully developed. Right? This is how it very much felt for me, that I didn't fully play the savior responsibility role, although savior responsibility was always the main driver in why I wanted to become a scientist. Right? Just it wasn't about the job. Like while I was doing the job and had this position, it wasn't real to me. Like I didn't identify with it. It was a means to an end. And I think this is what demon specialize is. Like you can do the specialization. And I've seen a lot of people in the community figuring out their social type. It was pretty clear that there were savior friends, but they were like, I must be number 2 because I can't specialize. And I'm thinking, why would you want to? Like, that can't be the point, right? To specialize, this specialization must be a means to an end, because you're on your mission to like inspire others and create just broader impact. And this is what Dave saw in my typing video, that this is what I was motivated by. And then looking at my YouTube channel, like giving kind of like broad personal growth advice, or like sharing personal growth lessons that I learned, wanting to connect to others, impact others with that kind of this drive for broad impact, essentially, that I wasn't living on the surface, because I didn't know myself, I didn't understand myself, and I did feel stuck. Like I felt like I wasn't doing what I was meant to be, what was meaningful for me, what was fulfilling to me, but I didn't know what the problem was, and I didn't know what the solution was. And I figured it out like through OP and through learning about all these other inspiring people, from Tom Bilyeu to Alex Hormozy, and seeing, oh, I want to do my version of what they're doing. And this resonated with me deeply. And so I refocused on that, and that just in the last year made me so much happier. And now I feel like I'm on a very different trajectory that just wasn't known, I think, because my environment also didn't nourish that. It was like very much the German culture. Just when you come up in high school, maybe in the Western world, it might be a bit different in America, actually, because they're more entrepreneurial, but you get taught to be an employee. This is kind of what you're brought up to do. And if you have really good grades, you become an employee in a very difficult thing, but you're still an employee. And then you play that role because you don't know what else to do, but then you get depressed and you don't know why. And you have to figure it out.
And this is why like sort of ops and social type is useful, but then it's like a knowledge of you, but you haven't developed the wisdom of you. You haven't actually built the muscles. So sometimes it can be quite overwhelming to have this like map, but you haven't gone through the process. So even though I had my type for 5 years, I was still consumer addicted. I was still this, but you have to go through the struggle no matter what. So like my advice is, if you do get your types, whatever it is, ops, social, both, it's not going to solve your problems. You're still going to have to go through the pain and suffering to get to where you want to get to. It's just, it can actually be worse, actually, because not worse. I would still advise you get typed and everything. It's amazing. But especially if you're expecting to suddenly just have the answers, it's not going to be a good feeling. And I relate to the whole, like I tried to do I did a master's, right? And I was like halfway through the part-time master's, I was like, this isn't it. Like, it's not because it's tough or because whatever, but it just felt like there is no point to specializing, because ultimately I don't want a piece of paper to then go on to do different teaching and being a professor. I realized, like, no, what's way more meaningful is affecting people and lives. And that's what I love about teaching. It's not, oh, I got you these grades or anything. It's I'm changing the way you see the world. And not because I'm like, oh, see the world the way I see it, but I'm changing the way you see yourself, because I can see myself this way and I want to give that to people. And I've finished the master's thinking I absolutely don't want to do a PhD. I would rather serve the world instead and like actually just transform the world. Yeah. So, yeah.
And for me, it's the same, with the difference that I actually went through the whole PhD. Right?
Yeah.
But I felt exactly the same in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and what you were saying earlier with like getting your type, I think it can be maybe too much consciousness too soon, maybe if you're still in your early 20s. And I think it gives you a lot of theoretical knowledge, but you have to still develop the intuitive, like visceral knowledge of like having in your bones what it means to be blast last, what it means to be, let's say, friends last, kind of the pain of it, how it actually impacts your life. And I think there are tools to get there faster, like journaling, like doing an error log, like actually tracking it and externalizing these feelings. But like just getting your type is not enough. You need to properly process that. And as you said, go through the pain. Like if you're not shocked by your type, if you don't experience like intense pain, then you're still not understanding it, which is fine.
Yeah.
Just means it's going to take more time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I'm super excited to continue learning about social type. I will keep following your videos, and I'm looking forward to the stuff that you release. And I'm probably join the class, and just sort of try to use this along my journey. Like, what would you say is something that, like, do you have any tips or advice for me about how to use social type for, like, is it just the same as 512? Like, okay, be aware of your demons and blah blah blah, like, or is it kind of a case of, because I don't know, like what Dave was saying with the number one and the NF blast, I was like, actually, that sounds cool. Like the fact that my oneness is bringing out the NF. And like the very day he told me, like it literally made me more NF blasty. I was like, well, I got this. So like there is a good thing about getting your type, because especially if you like, yeah, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna whatever, it's gonna hit you and stuff, but part of it is also amazing, because you're someone's going, I see your saviors here. You see these muscles that you probably didn't, like, you were hiding or whatever, just reveal them to the world. Like, just be yourself. And it's like, okay. And I felt that when I got my 512. And actually now, I wanted to talk about narratives, by the way. Like, is the social type and narrative you play in your mind, I know we don't have much left, like maybe 10, 12 minutes, but like, yeah, is that something that you see? Because I think being told I'm a 1 is different to me telling myself I'm the best. I'm still telling myself, like, yeah, you could type me a 3, I'm still the best. But being told you're a number 1 and you think you're the best, it's like, oh, you shouldn't have told me that. But like, it's like evil genius love. It's like, ha 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 ha. Now I can go around and be like, did you know that Dave thinks I'm a 1? And it's like so dumb, but it's like, it's cool. It's like, I think, do you feel like for you always wanted to do the responsibility and whatever, being told, dude, this is your bag, like this is your game? Did it not make you go, turbocharge that shit? Like, let's go.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Right, awesome.
That's what made me feel. Yes. Because Holly and I were talking about like starting our channel and really developing into a business over the years. Like, this is a long-term project, but we're really trying to build something tangible, something of value. And yeah, we weren't sure, like maybe we should know our social type. Is this the right way for us to go? We think so. We want to do this. And then she got type first as a 3. Like, that kind of not the ideal type of for being an entrepreneur. But of course, you can do whatever you want, right? Like, I think these social
Yeah, but
types
also with
just to put it out there.
specialization, I like, hello, website building, a customer interface, like all of that. I want to hire someone to do that, but I'm like, oh gosh, if I want to work on specialization, I need to do that. Sorry, continue. So she got
Yeah,
her
so in
type and
general, I
it's
would
like,
say
yeah.
that social types like say stuff in general, like they kind of put you into these abstract conceptual boxes, tell you about your needs, but they don't tell you anything specific of what you should or shouldn't do. So just because you're a 3 or 4 doesn't mean you shouldn't be an entrepreneur, like exactly how you said it. You just have to find like your way that fits your social type to kind of frame the situations. Like for Holly, it's very much like she wants to be the coach. She at some point figured out she would have liked to be a therapist, but now we want to essentially build like her own version of that. But for her, it's our business is about building her own specialization, her own specialist role that she resonates with, so she can be that. And for me, it's more about business and having the broad impact through that. So we're kind of approaching it upside down. But yeah, we still wanted to get the feedback from Shen and Dave to figure out like, are we on the right path? And we want to do that, we're sure. But what are the pitfalls? Like, what do we need to look out for? Also in working together, like what are strengths and weaknesses? And at first they thought I might be a 4, but my initial thought was, I don't give a shit. I'm going to build my fucking business. Like I might be a 4, but I'm still going to do it. But then it's like, oh, we're seeing the responsibility. It looks a bit weird because you're so introverted. And like we know Dave and Michael, and they're the extroverted number 2s. This is what we have more experience with. And you're a bit different, but you still seem to be driven by the same thing. And that just like all the doubt and the maybes and is this the right thing just disappeared. And as you said, like it turbocharged me. It's like, now it's time to go. Now we're gonna build something. We're gonna fucking produce. We're gonna build systems. We're gonna do. And that was half a year ago, and we haven't stopped, and we're still going. And we just want to do more. And this is why we're here right now, right? Because you said that you got social type, you wanted to talk about it. It's like opportunity to blast, to share something with the tribe. Like I loved your previous interviews, and it's really aligned with what I want to do. Like I saw that, and it's like, yeah, let's do it and produce something good for the tribe. And I hope that's what we're doing right now.
I hope so. I hope they're enjoying it, and it's useful hopefully for people who watch later. So I think it's great when it aligns and it sort of goes, okay, painful, let's go through that, let's acknowledge what our demons are, but also let's turbocharge. Like, don't be afraid of your saviors. Like, that's awesome, you've got this, like, do it. I
think you really want to especially with social types, prioritize your saviors. This is what you this is the role you're meant to play, and I think it is a fictional narrative. Like this is coming from me, that I want to play this role, but like, why should I work against that? Like, just let me play this role. Let me be and let me be a good, but also my version of that. Let me be the introverted number 2. That should work in times of the internet, right? To leverage media, like from my home, actually not leaving and just producing
in your
stuff
box,
that can be copied.
your sleep box.
Exactly. I'll figure that out. And but let me prioritize that and do my demons to a degree that serve my saviors. Okay, what do I need to specialize in order to have my own business? Okay, I need to know how to write, I need to know how to edit, I need to know how to perform. Like maybe even to a degree that I just know who to hire later to actually do the editing for me, because like as long as the videos are good, like I don't need to do the editing myself. But I need to have baseline knowledge to know what to look for and to know how to talk to the people, right? To the actual specialists who are great at this stuff.
You want to hire the best. Exactly.
So that's how I see, especially the social demons. You need to be decent enough to be actually great at your saviors.
Yes. Oh, exactly. I do see that with the NI and the SE, like to bring it back to the old system, LP. Like I do the narrowing down now, so I can do the SE on a way better level. Like, which SE is better, eating pizza or rocking it at the gym? Like, I've progressed at the gym so fast. Like, even PTs are like, hats off, like, and I'm like, yes. And like, as soon as I even started at the gym, like, I was like, like, I just lost this much weight. Like, you better know that I did this. And like, hey, look at my weight loss. Like, and also just going to the gym and being like, I don't know. I used to go in and be like, oh, I can't, do this. And then like way before, like years ago, if I would ever try a gym membership once and then waste all the money. But this time, like when I went, it was like, I felt like I owned the place. I was a newbie, no muscles, had lost weight just through diet, just through like lifestyle and whatever. But then I was like, but I know that I'm going to be amazing because I did this thing. I'm going to replicate it wherever I want to replicate this. And I think Shan talked about this before. She was like, being ST, or like having the feedback, like she can do this, made her want to do more. I don't know that she didn't use those exact words, but it was, I think, an interview with you, and I was like, oh yeah, that's how it felt for me as well. The vision was there, the drive to be number one, or like the drive that I am that, and I want to end up that way. But then as soon as I got a little bit of like faith in myself, it like, whoa, multiplied like exponentially. And for someone else, it might be like, oh yeah, I can kind of see some improvement, but it's not fast enough, or it's not this. I'm like, no, I just needed to see like 1%, and then I could see the rest. And I was like, that's where I'm going. And so now at the gym as well, it's the same thing where I saw other people and I was like, I'm in this good gym because I want to see the best. But then now I'm like, I'm seeing the best, and I'm like, oh, you're still that, and I've surpassed you. Oh wow, I can see my trajectory now. In a year, what will I become? And I'm super excited to share that with the world. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Thank you.
All right. So, how much time do you still have?
Oh, I thought you were like 90 minutes tops.
That's how double observing works. Like kind of you plan, but then you throw it away like in the middle of it. It's just like it was just my soft bucket to not go over long. Because I still have some rapid fire questions for you, like I had for
Yeah,
Shan.
let's do it. Yeah.
And on a fun note to do some friend stuff,
Yay, friends!
But maybe before that, do you want to plug something? So I linked your channel and your TikTok in the description, so everyone go there, watch the first amazing videos. I think more amazing stuff will come.
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to kind of plug what you have planned for the future so far?
Yeah, so 2024, I want to start some coaching. It's going to be free to begin with, because hey, I'm not going to, I want you guys to be my beginning, to start off with you guys. I want to offer it. And but before that, I've got some videos coming up on different other topics. Again, it's probably going to be NFE and not going to be ST, but I'll have probably 1 or 2 ST videos about what I actually ate, what I actually eat now. And I'm going to do a few more TikToks showing like gradual changes. So all of this is to come. I'm looking forward to a really exciting new year, and I'm wishing you all happy holidays, and you'll be seeing me around. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, like with Shan, like I have a couple of rapid fire questions. So just give me your gut answer. Just make it fun. Give me maybe like 1 or 2 sentences as an explanation. Anything else? So like some questions are the same, but others are specifically tailored for you and what I know about you.
Cool.
Okay, let's start. If you could be a different type for one day, what type would it be?
Immediate thought was INFJ, maybe. Just to be my opposite, right? Just to see the world upside down. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to eat. Like, oh, I forgot to eat. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah. And just to be able to like, see people really easily and be like, hey, you're going to do what I want. Ha ha ha. Like, yeah, so cool. They have that manipulation tactic that they think they don't do, but they do. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, beat Darren Brown for a day.
Yes.
If you could swap one coin forever, which one would it be?
What do you mean? Like just forever? Oh, okay. Like just one. Okay.
Yeah, just one.
I would swap. I want to be masculine NI.
Okay. To have more solidity there, to see the patterns more clearly.
Double masculine blast would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, you see it with Shan. Like once she gets going, it's super powerful, and you can't stop her.
Yeah. She's a 1.
Like double.
It's bringing up her blast, and it's double masculine. Like that's awesome. Like I want that. Yeah.
Nice. Do you have like a big celebrity inspiration, or what is your biggest celebrity inspiration, if you have one? Someone kind of to inspire you, helped you get going, who you maybe want to model after?
Not really, but just sort of like the Stoics, and like I have more like philosophies that I model myself after. And like when I see some TED Talks of people who are talking about that stuff, I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I want to do that eventually. So it's that's kind of more like an idea, an abstract like vibe. It's not really a specific person. Yeah.
Okay, I have some food questions.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
if you could only have one of those for the rest of your life, which one would you choose? Peanut butter or dates?
Peanut butter. And because it's protein, and also it has some sweetness to it. Dates are just sugar. Like, okay. Yeah.
Okay, the next question. What's your favorite source of protein?
Chicken.
Chicken.
Sorry,
okay.
guys. Maybe cottage cheese, because it tastes like ice cream to me now, and I'm like, but I can't choose. I don't know. I think, I would. I think the best one is chicken, just generally, and you can change it and like do whatever with it. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, it's more versatile than beef for sure.
Yeah, and also I don't, red meat doesn't really go with me that well. I have it according to like my cycle and stuff, and I cycle in the fats and whatever, but yeah, no, mostly lean protein is my go-to. Yeah.
Then
oh, also
tryptophans,
carbs? Guys, tryptophans. Sorry, do you guys know about that? Come on, you need that to be happy. Like, eat your tryptophans. Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Then fats or carbs? And yes, eat your
Fats.
tryptophan.
Fats
Carbs?
for sure. Fats.
Fats for sure. Fats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I go with too. Favorite cheat meal, if you have one, or consider cheat meals.
Whatever my mom makes, homemade Iraqi food. Let's go. Mama's food is my cheat meal. Yeah.
I feel like I know the answer to the next one, but cardio or strength training?
Strength training. Come on, let's lift. Let's go.
Then machine.
Actually, I should say this online. Sure.
Say it.
No, I might get nothing. I can't talk about it. I'll tell you after.
Okay. You might get cancelled already after this interview. Who knows?
Oh well.
Then machines or free weights?
No, free weights. Yeah.
Do it properly. Okay.
Yeah. Let's build that core, guys. Come on. Machines do not help you build core. Yeah.
Do the compound lifts?
Yes.
Then let's switch the channel for a bit. Hannibal, the TV show, or The Silence of the Lambs?
TV show.
Really?
Yeah. Because there are way more conversations. It's deeper. It's the music, the art, the philosophy. Whoa. Like, yeah, okay, Silence of the Lambs is classic. TV show just beats it for me. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I would agree if it's just the first season, but for me, I really didn't like the first half of the third season.
No.
Like, I kind of suffered through that, and that kind of taints it as a whole, where like The Silence of the Lambs is just the movie and it doesn't go as deep, you're right, but it feels kind of more complete as a whole, kind of rounder. Yeah. What's your favorite movie and why?
I don't have one. What?
FI questions.
Do you have a favorite movie? No, I have a.
Yes.
I have. What? You chose.
I told you about that.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes, you do have a favorite movie.
Yeah.
I will tell you it after. No, I don't have a favorite. Sorry.
Top 3?
Top 3. Haven't thought about it. Sorry.
I thought about it. Okay. I have like more FI questions like that. Favorite TV show?
Okay. Favorite TV show. Oh, I have top 3 TV shows. I can do that. Monk, Buffy, and what else do I rewatch every year? Oh,
Hannibal, not Hannibal.
Oh, Hannibal's amazing, but it's so hard. It's so deep and dark. And slow. Yeah, I don't know. Buffy and Monk, I love these 2 shows. They just make me happy. And like, I don't really watch shows anymore. So sometimes when I just want something on in the background, I'll throw that on because it feels like I don't know, it was around during some of my tougher times. So yeah.
Nice. Do you have a favorite book?
The Bible. No, I'm joking. I'm not Christian. Sorry, it's not like sing. No, I don't have a favorite book. Sorry.
But you're an English teacher.
Oh yes, sorry. Let me look at my show. I don't know. The book that I will write one day about myself.
Now that's a proper flex statement. So, and my last question was favorite author, but then I guess it's going to be yourself and the author you'll be one day.
I hope so.
Okay, sounds good. So these are all my rapid fire questions for you.
Yay!
Do you have any last words, any last NF blast that you want to let the audience know?
Whatever you... No, that's a very cliche thing. Just start from wherever you are. Enjoy the holidays, and just see the best version of yourself, because they are within you, and you're amazing. Okay, guys. Bye. I know.
Okay, everybody. So thank you for watching. We're going to wrap it up. Again, links to Nora's channel and TikTok are in the descriptions. Go watch her, go follow her and subscribe. And yeah, by the way, this was just a spontaneous thing. We actually didn't plan on like doing more videos in the near future on this channel. We played with the idea, but Holly and I thought we can't commit to it. But like I had to grab this opportunity that Nora presented. So we might do some other community interviews in the future, but we don't have any plans. So if you want to be interviewed on this channel, please do not reach out to us. Maybe we find you, maybe we won't. We'll see. But yeah, have nice holidays. Thank you everybody for watching. And yeah, see you later. And my mouse died.
Oh no.